What's up? Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be turning a C20 long bed into a K5 two-wheel drive Blazer. Chopping up the frame, doing some C notches. Um, Follow along if this is something that you're interested in doing yourself, because let me go through it, let me make the mistakes, let me run into some issues, and let me get past all those so you don't have to. So you can follow along and see what the outcome is going to be. Again, C20 long wheelbase truck turning into a two-wheel drive K5 Blazer. Stay tuned, man. The vision that I have for it, it's going to be awesome. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. Watch what's going to happen. All right, so you're going to need to take out 23 inches out of your frame. I'm under the cab. Here's my rear cab mount for the C20. C20s are lower, C10s are higher. But I got a mark here, which is 22 inches away from here. And you might be thinking, you just said you need to take out 23. Yes, you do. I'm going to cut here, pull out the frame, back half of the frame, take out the rivets, get a measurement from my cut back, 23 inches, which should bring me on the other side of this rivet. And then make my second cut, bring everything together, square it, and weld it. To me, it just seems easier to do this not under the truck. Like, get it cut at 22, pull out the back half, and then deal with all this crap. Also, at 22 inches on your C20s, I don't know about C10s, C20, here's your transmission mount bolts here. Transmission mount is here. So you're pretty freaking close, man. Like, close. Another thing I want to point out when I make this cut, I really can't see my line going across the top here. I want it to be as square as possible. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't seen this done, this is going to be my first time trying it, is I'm going to cut here with the Sawzall right above this bolt hole. Cut here, I'm going to come across and then do this as straight as possible. Once I'll do that on both sides, and once the back half of the frame is removed, I should be able to come in here with that angle grinder and give it a good cut from the bottom, nice and flush. So we'll see how that works out. There's my cut. Like I said, come to the top here. I came over with the Sawzall, angle grinder, did a good portion of this with the angle grinder, and then did my through cut with the Sawzall. Rear cab mount. All right, again, your C20, your rear cab mount is lower on the frame. C10, you're higher on the frame, which is kind of good if you got a C10, because I got to move this, I got to match these bolt holes. I'll go from here 23 inches out, and that's going to bring me about here. I'm not going to have a bottom bolt hole. If I go from here all the way out, it should bring me right here somewhere. So I'll just build a little bracketry to go off of there, or I just might weld the whole thing in. What I'll do first is try to get the frame level, and then use a level and draw a line all the way to the back, and that'll get me lined up for my cab mounts. So what I did is transfer these holes 23 inches over. Let's put a level on here, drew it out at 23 inches, made a mark, put some pilot holes. No hole for that, no bracket, no frame. Another thing too I noticed, I don't know how I'm going to work around it yet, but this frame kicks out from there to there, 34 inches. Our new frame, I'm sorry, the new position of our cab mount is 35 inches. So we'll see. I forgot to mention you need to cut these two bed mounts on the passenger side and the driver's side before you put the frame back under your truck. All right, found an issue. Your frame starts to go upwards. You can see it here. So I notched this section out so the back of the cab doesn't sit on top of the frame, because when I had my cab mount in its new location, somewhere around there, you can see the back side of the frame over here is just as high as the cab mount, which means the back of the truck, back of the cab, was sitting on the frame. So I notched it. Here's the section that I cut out. All right, so all I'm going to do is take this off. I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to box in the front and the back. Bring some structure back to it. And if you're looking for measurements, I did about 2 inches from the corner of this bracket over, cut down right above this hole, and then I try to line this other cut up with the new bolt hole locations for the cab mount. And just a reminder, that's 23 inches back from its original location. All right, that's what it looks like after it's notched and boxed. You have the clearance you need right here for the back of the cab. Should be good. All right, second box done. Quick disclaimer, at this point of the video, the back half of the frame is already pushed under the cab and tacked together. So that's what we're seeing here. I didn't catch footage of me squaring things up and welding in the frame. So push the frame back together, weld it in. You don't need instructions on that. You got it. You can see how the bottom of the cab would have been sitting right on top of the frame. All right, back to cab mounts. They're too wide. They're 1 inch overall wider than they were when they were in their stock locations. So what I'm going to do is just through bolt it. I'm going to put another hole inside the cab, 8.5 inch bolt, and that should do it. I'll make a video of that once I get to that point, but that's where we're at. C-notch is done. Again, there's a lot of videos on that. If you're getting rid of the fuel tank that goes behind your seats inside the cab, you want to go with something like this. They have different styles. Part of me wishes I would have had the inlet over here. So now this is going to I'm going to have to create an opening in the bed to fill here. I'm just hoping I'm not going to get fumes and stuff inside the quote-unquote Blazer when I'm done. But that's where we're at. I added some boxing plates. They need to be welded in, but I'm just going to go where I made that notch for the cab. Something like that, just for some added strength. So I went with the single piece drive shaft, and that hole that the drive shaft is going through, that cross member, there's a bracket on top of that needs to get removed. This is the bracket that needs to get removed. Your carrier bearing will bolt to this, and it has 4 bolts that you just need to unbolt if you're going single drive shaft. The bed sides had these fuel doors for the saddle gas tanks. Went with that just off of eBay. So it's going to be something like that. Again, I didn't want the fuel filler inside of the cab. I don't want it to stink up the inside. So hopefully we can keep it like this, and as I'm driving, the wind blows any type of fumes that might possibly escape. So your bed, the measurements that I got from the front of the bed to this cut is 21 3/4. So again, from the front of the bed, measure out 21 3/4, make your marks, give you a cut that'll allow these to line up in their original location in the frame. Let's see if we can see it. There's your original bracket. So that lines up nicely. Same thing on the other side. Now that the bed is on here, I made some marks just with the Sharpie, or the Sharpie alone. You can see all the marks on the yellow, up and down. So that's going to give me a reference point where to cut the back of the cab. So once the back of that cab is gone, the roof is gone, the bed will weld up to that portion of the cab. We'll see how that works. Blazers and short beds are the same size in the back. So with the short bed or with the Blazer, you got to take out 8 inches from the back of the bed. So that's all that is here, is 8 inches. There's some brackets on the other side of this. Here's the bolt hole for it. You're just gonna have to make new holes in your frame. So I made new holes and I boxed in the end of the frame there. Let's see if we can see.